Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love to the author and me. On to the show.
It seems that if you can't bear those attacks, it may be broken at any time. After all, the Hyperion is an ultra-high-tech weapon, and its defense is much stronger, so it has not been broken. Power me up, Su Chen snorted coldly, and ordered to Hyperion hum. Upon hearing Su Chen's order, the main control room on the Hyperion immediately adjusted the energy output, which instantly doubled the speed of the Hyperion. The Hyperion's beam launch port opened again, shooting out laser cannons one after another, and fired towards the spaceships in the starry sky. A series of laser cannons continuously exploded on the shields of those spaceships, causing the shields of those spaceships to vibrate continuously, making ear-piercing howls. Su Chen manipulated the Hyperion, constantly attacking those spaceships. At this time, the energy of those spaceships had begun to weaken. Under the attack of Su Chen's laser cannon, it was already on the verge of collapse, as if it would be bombed any time. Su Yan was driving the Hyperion, flashing rapidly in the air, avoiding the attacks of those spaceships. The Hyperion's defense is extremely strong, and under this level of attack, the Hyperion still persists. There are more and more starships, and the number is getting bigger and bigger. Su Chen's Hyperion's range in the air is also gradually shrinking. Su Chen manipulated the Hyperion, constantly dodging the attacks of those spaceships. He also knew that now he had to use the Hyperion to resist the attacks of those spaceships. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to defeat those starships. Su Chen can only look forward to how long the Hyperion can last. In Su Chen's mind, he kept thinking of ways. He thought about it, and suddenly his eyes lit up, and a smile formed on the corner of his mouth. The Hyperion can absorb the energy in the universe and can convert it. As long as the energy in the Hyperion is completely absorbed, the energy cannons of those spaceships will never be able to harm the Hyperion again. Thinking of this, Su Chen immediately manipulated the Hyperion and started his own energy-absorbing mode. On the Hyperion, those energy particles began to fly towards the Hyperion, and then poured into the energy shield of the Hyperion, which made the defensive energy of the energy shield a little stronger again. The energy shield of the Hyperion can absorb a large amount of energy particles, but the energy-based particles cannot absorb all the energy inside the Hyperion. Now, Su Chen has almost absorbed the energy inside the Hyperion. The Hyperion will no longer absorb cosmic energy particles, but start to convert energy. The Hyperion began to slowly transform energy. Su Chen looked at the Hyperion and began to transform the energy. He also breathed a sigh of relief. If the Hyperion can be converted into energy, then he won't be afraid of the energy attacks of those spaceships. The Hyperion hovered continuously in the air, and laser cannons raged outside the Hyperion. Those laser cannons passed by the energy shield of the Hyperion every time, and then bombarded the energy shield outside the Hyperion. In the starry sky, one after another energy particles fell and bombarded towards the Zuan. The Hyperion continuously absorbs those energy particles, continuously converts these energy particles into energy, and injects them into the energy shield. As a result, those energy shields not only did not break, but became thicker and tougher. Although the energy cannons of those spaceships are very powerful, they can break through the energy defense shield of the area where Su Chen is located every time. However, the Hyperion can continuously replenish energy through its own energy reserves, making the Hyperion more and more powerful. Not long after, the defensive cover of the Hyperion had reached a terrifying level, and even starships were unable to break through the Hyperion's defense. Such a situation made Su Chen very satisfied. The energy consumption on the Hyperion has returned to a normal state. Su Chen manipulated the Hyperion string to continue the attack. Those spaceships kept dodging the Hyperion's attack. Under the attack of Su Chen's laser cannon, the starships exploded into slag one after another, turning into energy particles floating down the sky. Rumble! The roar of Hyperion's laser cannon resounded in the void, and starships were destroyed one by one, turning into dust all over the sky. Floating in the air, everyone on the starship was dumbfounded. All this is incredible. Their firepower system has a total of 16 mechs. These mechs are composed of energy particles from 16 spaceships, and their attack power is beyond the reach of ordinary mechs. These starships, altogether launched an attack on the Hyperion star. So scary. This is simply a super battleship. Is this the Hyperion? That's awesome. Those spectators couldn't help being amazed when they saw the size of the Hyperion. At this moment, the Hyperion has such a terrifying body shape, which shocked many creatures watching the battle. They also know the power of the Starry Sky civilization, and this super battleship is the most powerful combat power of the Starry Sky civilization. Haha, the Hyperion did not disappoint me. Su Chen's face showed a hint of satisfaction. The greater the power of the Hyperion, the better for him. The Hyperion's energy reserve is quite sufficient. As long as it is not hit, then there is no problem. Su Chen controlled the Hyperion and launched a violent attack towards those spaceships. Energy particles flew out from the Hyperion, bombarding those spaceships. Boom! After an energy cluster bombarded the starship, it immediately detonated the energy cluster, and the huge energy storm generated by the explosion instantly tore apart the starships. Those starships also suffered huge damage. Quite a few starships, even the cabins, were torn to shreds. The Hyperion is killing non-stop. They are not Su Chen's opponents at all. They can only be beaten. Energy cannons kept bombarding those spaceships. One after another spaceships were destroyed by the Hyperion. The starship, under the energy cannon of the Hyperion, has no resistance at all. Not good. The Hyperion is devouring our energy. The leader of the spaceship, after discovering this, all exclaimed, "The Hyperion can absorb a large amount of energy in a short period of time. If this continues, their fleet will be swallowed up by the Hyperion sooner or later. Damn, we can't let the Hyperion devour energy anymore. We must destroy him as soon as possible. Yes, otherwise, when the Hyperion fully grows, it will be even more difficult." The starships all ordered to concentrate their firepower to kill the Hyperion. The main gun barrels of those spaceships aimed at the Hyperion and bombarded it. Call out. Click. Under a burst of intensive bombardment, countless tiny damages suddenly appeared on the energy shield on the surface of the Hyperion. Ha ha. The 483 energy shield of the Hyperion is about to shatter. Destroy it. There were bursts of excited roars from the starship. They all launched an energy attack on the Hyperion. Boom. An energy particle cannon bombarded the Hyperion, and the energy shield of the Hyperion suddenly collapsed, and shock waves swept around. Under the attack of the energy cannon, the Hyperion also began to shake. Under the constant shaking, the Hyperion became slower and slower. Seeing this situation, Su Yan frowned. This time the attack did not harm the Hyperion at all, which made him a little depressed. If it can hurt the Hyperion, then even if the Hyperion has such power, there is no way to escape, right? Rumble. The gun barrel of the Hyperion aimed at a starship and bombarded it. The shells in the barrel drew arcs in the air and headed straight for the starship. The speed of the starship is extremely fast. No matter how fast the starship was, it couldn't be faster than the reaction speed of the Hyperion. The cannonballs in the Hyperion's cannon barrel moved very fast, almost reaching the vicinity of the spaceship in the blink of an eye. The Hyperion finally caught up with that starship. At this moment, the Hyperion also launched an attack on the spaceship. The Hyperion's energy cannon continuously bombarded the starship's outer armor. Under the energy cannon of the Hyperion, the starship kept trembling. It wanted to dodge the attack of the Hyperion energy cannon. However, the Hyperion has too many barrels. This energy bomb bombarded the outer armor of the starship, smashing the outer armor to pieces. The power of the energy cannon was even more terrifying, and the starship was riddled with holes. Boom! An energy ball penetrated through the shell of the starship and went straight into the interior of the starship. The interior of the starship was suddenly attacked by energy cannons. Boom! Click! An energy cannon bombarded this starship, directly blasting a big hole out of it. This spaceship was also blasted into two halves. The Hyperion once again demonstrated its terrifying strength. As expected of a spaceship, the defense power is so amazing. The leaders of the spaceship opened their mouths in surprise when they saw the Hyperion smashing the spaceship once again. They really did not expect that the defensive power of the Hyperion was so powerful. The energy cannon of the Hyperion is still bombarding. The gun barrels of those spaceships were smashed to pieces. The main gun of the Hyperion is extremely powerful, and every time it is fired, it can blast a starship into pieces. Bang, bang. The Hyperion blasted out one after another, blasting those starships to pieces. The leaders of those spaceships couldn't help being intimidated. They didn't expect that under the bombardment of their own main guns, the Hyperion would be fine. The Hyperion can also cause huge losses to them, which makes them feel a little unbelievable. How could this spaceship be so powerful? Call out. Under the attack of the Hyperion's main gun, another starship was sunk. The muzzle of the Hyperion once again aimed at the second starship. Do not. The leader of that spaceship suddenly turned pale with fright. The gun barrel of the Hyperion has already locked onto the starship. The Hyperion can easily destroy that spaceship with one energy cannon. No, those starship leaders are panicked and overwhelmed. Boom. Another energy cannon shell flew out, directly smashing the spaceship into pieces. Standing in the control room of the Hyperion, Su Yan was satisfied with the record of the Hyperion. Under his control, the combat power of the Hyperion has improved a lot compared to before. Haha, let me just say, the Hyperion's defense is the strongest. They alone can't do anything to the Hyperion. That's good. If we can kill one of those spaceships, it can be regarded as a warning to the leaders on those spaceships, so that they don't run wild on our waterway. Well, yes. Now, There is the last spaceship left. We must kill that spaceship. Su Yan is on the console, giving orders to the leaders of the starships. After Su Yan's order was issued, the Hyperion fired at a starship again. From the Hyperion's cannon barrel, energy beams shot out continuously, attacking that starship. The leaders in this spaceship all looked terrified, looking at the muzzle of the Hyperion, and kept screaming tragically. 5.0 The leaders of these spaceships are also very unwilling. They don't believe that with their means, they can't win the Hyperion. The cannon barrel on the Hyperion kept bombarding that spaceship. Bang bang bang. The shells of the energy cannon continuously bombarded the outer armor of the starship. This spaceship was also riddled with holes from the bombardment, and it kept falling down. Under the continuous bombardment of the Hyperion, the starship finally couldn't bear it anymore, and was blown apart. Under the bombardment of the Hyperion, a group of starships were forced to keep retreating. They wanted to leave the Hyperion, and leave the attack range of the Hyperion. The Hyperion frantically attacked them. The fighting power of the Hyperion is too powerful, making these spaceships feel frightened and fearful. The starship had no choice but to retreat to escape the Hyperion's attack range. The Hyperion continued to bombard, and under the bombardment of its main cannon, all the starships were blasted into pieces. The Hyperion is hunting down a group of starships. Su Yan was not idle either. He kept manipulating the Hyperion, bombarding and killing several other spaceships. The might of the Hyperion is simply too fierce. Starships simply did not dare to confront the Hyperion head-on. They could only dodge the artillery attack of the Hyperion in embarrassment. The energy cannon on the Hyperion kept bombarding the surroundings. These spaceships can only dodge in embarrassment, not daring to resist directly. Continue to increase the output and destroy all the starships. On the Hyperion, Su Yan continued to command, so that the gun barrel of the Hyperion continued to spit out powerful energy cannons. The energy cannon of the Hyperion continuously spit out powerful 23 energy waves, smashing the hulls of those spaceships, causing them to completely collapse and dissipate into the universe. Under such circumstances, the starship could no longer care about face issues. These spaceships drove their own spaceships to leave this planet one after another. They were afraid to stay here, and the Hyperion's energy cannon attacked them again, killing them. The Hyperion is a true war machine, and the energy it carries is endless. The Hyperion can swallow the entire universe into it. The Hyperion's speed was very fast, and it bombarded continuously, destroying starships one by one along the way. Under the bombardment of the Hyperion, the spaceships of the starships also exploded one after another. The cannon barrel of the Hyperion is also getting bigger and bigger, and the power of the energy cannon blasted out is getting bigger and bigger. This planet was also raised by the Hyperion. After destroying that planet, the Hyperion put away the Hyperion and began to search for traces of the remaining starships. Su Yan asked the Hyperion to search carefully in this planet. Hyperion's scanning ability is very powerful, and it quickly found those starships. Keep attacking. The energy cannon of the Hyperion continued to bombard the surroundings, bombarding these spaceships. The leaders of these spaceships did not dare to stay any longer. While fleeing, they sent messages to the spaceships bombarded by the Hyperion. Withdraw quickly. The Hyperion is too powerful. We are no match. Escape quickly. The leader of the spaceship ran away crazily, not daring to confront the Hyperion head-on. The energy cannon on the Hyperion was also blasting violently. The leaders of those spaceships did not dare to stay any longer, and continued to flee in all directions. The Hyperion has been bombarding non-stop, continuing to destroy those spaceships. Under Su Yan's instructions, the Hyperion continued to fly towards the distance. Under Su Yan's command, the Hyperion's speed is extremely fast, and ordinary spaceships cannot match the Hyperion. Ordinary starships are also unable to catch up with the Hyperion. However, there are also starships that can catch up to the speed of the Hyperion. Those starships, disregarding their own life and death, kept chasing the Hyperion, trying to stop the Hyperion from advancing. Su Yan looked at those spaceships and frowned slightly. It was really troublesome. These spaceships have been chasing after them. Although the speed of the Hyperion is very fast, it is not infinitely close to the speed of light. Only the leaders of the spaceships are much faster than the Hyperion. Those starship leaders, regardless of the danger to their own lives, kept firing cannonballs and bombarded the Hyperion. Although the shield system of the Hyperion is strong, it can't stop this kind of intensive bombardment, nor can it resist these bombardments. Boom! A highly enriched missile was launched from a starship. This is an SS-class starship, and there is an SS-class starship inside. After launching this missile, it wants to hit the Hyperion. The Hyperion also discovered an S-class starship. Boom! The gun barrel of the Hyperion aimed at the SS-class starship, and fired an energy beam. The S-class starship was hit by the energy beam of the Hyperion, and was directly destroyed, turning into shards all over the sky, and disappeared without a trace in the universe. The fall of an SS-class spaceship made those spaceships much less courageous, and they all gave up chasing the Hyperion and fled to other places. At this time, the Hyperion also stopped. Su Yan controlled the Hyperion and slowly rose into the clouds. The Hyperion hovered above the clouds, quietly waiting for the arrival of those starships. Rumble. Suddenly, there was a loud noise in the universe below the Hyperion. Hubley looked down and saw hundreds of millions of interstellar spacecraft flying out of 097 from the depths of the universe. One after another interstellar spacecraft pounced on the Hyperion. Those interstellar spaceships are all composed of warships one by one. Those warships rushed towards the Hyperion like a meteor shower. Damn it, there are still so many starships. Su Yan's face changed. He knew that he was in big trouble, and those starships must be planning to encircle him. Continue to charge forward, Su Yan ordered. The Hyperion continued to fly forward, constantly bombarding the starships. The leaders of the spaceships did not dare to stop, firing energy cannons while continuously firing cannonballs, attacking the Hyperion. At this time, one starship after another was sunk by the Hyperion. The starship has already been terrified by the attack of the Hyperion. How dare it fight the Hyperion? They just kept firing shells, trying to stop the Hyperion. The Hyperion continued to push forward. Under the continuous advancement of the Hyperion, the starship has no choice but to retreat continuously. Under the propulsion of the Hyperion, those starships were quickly thrown off. The leader of the starship spaceship also became flustered, and chose to escape one after another. They didn't know what was going on, they only knew that the speed of the Hyperion was terrifying. At this time, they finally knew why the shells they fired just now were destroyed by the Hyperion in one go, and even the defensive shield of the Hyperion could not be broken. They can only run away now. In their hearts, they are unwilling to continue to entangle with the Hyperion. Boom boom boom. From time to time, starships fired super high-speed particle cannons one after another, bombarding the Hyperion. The Hyperion's defense is really too strong, and these particle cannons bombarded the Hyperion, which is useless at all. Su Yan watched from the side. The particle cannon fired by the starship could not cause any damage to the Hyperion at all. Whether it is attack or defense, the Hyperion is super strong. Su Yan was shocked when he saw the particle cannons fired by the starship leaders. The particle cannons of ordinary SS-class starships do not pose much threat to the Hyperion. The particle cannons fired by these spaceships are extremely powerful. Su Yan could see that these starships seemed to be human civilizations with advanced intelligence. Otherwise, there would be no such level of technology. The battle on the Hyperion became more and more intense. One starship after another was destroyed. The starship is getting more and more distressed. One starship after another was wiped out. The Hyperion's attack did not cause their losses to be particularly large. Therefore, these starships are still continuing to fire artillery, trying to stop Hyperion love. The Hyperion continued to sail towards the end of the Star Sea. In the eyes of these spaceships, they just want to trap the Hyperion. However, the Hyperion was going all the way like a bamboo, killing those starships continuously, and heading towards the end of the Star Sea. There was a burst of despair in the starship's heart. Boom. The Hyperion continued to push forward. Finally, the Hyperion passed through the interception of those spaceships, and came to the end of the Star Sea. And at the end of that sea of stars, is the dark star field. Hyperion, move on. Those starships continued to fire artillery, trying to keep the Hyperion, but their artillery could not harm the Hyperion. The starship could only be helpless, and finally chose to escape, and fled back to report to their ancestors. As for the starship, everyone knows that if they don't leave here, it is very likely that they will never leave again. At that time, they will become enemies of the entire dark star field. The Hyperion sailed very fast, and soon came to the dark star field. Looking at the dark starry sky outside, Su Yan couldn't help sighing. It's really spectacular. Such a big dark star field is simply boundless. The Hyperion continued to sail, and within a month, it traveled through this boundless dark star field and arrived. At that moment, the Hyperion stopped sailing and stayed here. Su Yan stopped the Hyperion here, looked around, and couldn't help sighing. What a beautiful starry sky. Hyperion, continue to sail forward. A few months later, a huge city appeared in this boundless starry sky. That city looks very grand and magnificent. Looking from afar, it looks like a huge mountain. Finally arrived. Looking at the huge city ahead, Su Yan couldn't help but heaved a sigh of relief, and finally reached the goal. The Hyperion continued to sail, and soon came near the huge city. At this time, a metal door suddenly appeared on the surface of the Hyperion's hull. Then it opened. A group of starships flew out of the metal gate one after another, and then rushed towards the Hyperion. Seeing those spaceships in the sky, Su Yan raised his eyebrows slightly, and his eyes were full of vigilance. Are these starship lords planning to attack me? On the Hyperion, the starship lords all stared at Su Yan, with hatred in their eyes, as if they wanted to eat Su Yan. What are these guys trying to do? Deep in Su Yan's heart, he was also a little worried. The lords of the starship spaceships all had fierce eyes, with a light of hatred, which made people feel palpitations. Roar! Those starship lords all roared and launched an attack. A series of particle cannons, the Bolian, boom, explosions sounded continuously, and the defense of the Hyperion was shaken continuously. The huge power produced by those particle cannons made even the Hyperion feel a burst of fear. Although his combat power is very strong, it is not strong enough to withstand such an attack, which makes Su Yan feel flustered. The Hyperion kept avoiding the attacks of these particle cannons. Su Yan steered the Hyperion and continued to sail forward. The Hyperion keeps moving forward. At this time, everyone on the Hyperion found that they could not control the Hyperion at all. No matter how many attacks they used, the body of the Hyperion still remained unchanged. The Hyperion is still advancing. This scene immediately changed the faces of the starship lords, and they all showed horror. Damn it! How could the defensive energy of the Hyperion be so powerful? How is this possible? None of our particle cannons can harm the Hyperion. What should we do? The Hyperion has rushed to our territory. No, we can't, Jaos. Sit idly by. We must stop the Hyperion from moving forward. These starship lords are not reconciled to being crushed by the Hyperion. On the Hyperion, those starship lords began to unite and prepare to attack. Those starship lords also activated their own weapon systems one after another. At this time, Yan had already arrived at the Hyperion. Seeing that the Hyperion was under siege, Su Yan also frowned. These starship lords are really not moral at all. However, under such circumstances, Su Yan has nothing to do. Those starship lords fired particle cannons frantically, attacking the Hyperion frantically. The Hyperion's defense is very strong, and those particle cannons simply cannot break through the Hyperion's defense. Each of these starship lords is not low in combat effectiveness. A series of particle cannons hit the Hyperion, but did not cause any substantial damage to the Hyperion, only made the Hyperion tremble. The starship lords, seeing that the Hyperion was not damaged at all, couldn't help but widen their eyes, with incredible expressions on their faces. How could this happen? The Hyperion's defenses are so hard. How is this possible? Damn it! The Hyperion's defense is too strong. It can't hurt the Hyperion at all. They all showed a surprised expression. Ha ha ha! These starship lords are really stupid. They really regard this place as their own territory. The Hyperion's defense, even beings at the master level of the universe can resist. So why can they hurt the Hyperion? It's ridiculous. Do you really think we are vegetarians? Let's kill the lord of this spaceship first. Well, kill that lord. Those starship lords all showed shocked expressions. Su Yan is going to kill these spaceship lords and destroy their spaceships, turning their spaceships into scraps. The starship lords were all furious. They never thought that their starship would encounter such a tragic blow. The Hyperion's attack caused them huge losses. Their lords were killed one by one. At this time, the Hyperion also came to the highest position and stopped. Su Yan stood at the highest point, overlooking the spaceship lords below, with a sneer on his face. You bastards, do you really think that we are so easy to bully? Are you afraid now? The Hyperion's main gun fires and kills them all. Hearing Su Yan's words, the faces of those starship lords became much uglier. All of them showed expressions of disbelief. Looking at the Hyperion, their faces were pale, showing a look of horror. Although their starships are many times more powerful than the Hyperion, their starships have no power to resist in the face of this Hyperion, only to be slaughtered. Once their starship was swept by CDCC, Bolian's artillery fire, their starships will definitely be destroyed. Once their starships are destroyed, their losses will be severe. Before their expedition this time, their lord once told them that if they encountered Su Yan's starship, they should try to preserve their strength, and if they could not be their enemies, try not to provoke them. After all, Su Yan is very powerful, many times stronger than theirs. This kind of strength is not something they can deal with. They can only avoid it. The Hyperion's attack is too powerful. We can't crack it. So what should we do? Seeing this scene, the starship lords couldn't help showing panicked expressions on their faces. Can't attack, only? Our battleship defense is not their opponent. It can only defend. Defense? You must defend me. If we can't defend ourselves, we can only be destroyed. We must not die. The starship lords shouted loudly one by one, with terrified expressions on their faces. Su Yan looked at the starship lords below. A sneering smile appeared on his face, and he smiled coldly. Want to defend? Heave! Do you really think that the Hyperion only has these attacks? Shoot me an attack. The main gun on the Hyperion slowly began to fire. Boom. One by one energy bombs flew towards the starship lords below. These energy bombs are all sent out by the spaceship controlled by Su Yan, and they are extremely powerful. Those starship lords, seeing those energy ejections, were all frightened and dumbfounded, and all of them showed terrified expressions. Quick, run away. A starship lord hurriedly urged his own starship to leave. But it's a pity that there are a lot of energy shields on the Hyperion, and these energy shields are so powerful that ordinary people can't destroy them at all, unless nuclear bombs are used. But here, the nuclear bomb can no longer exert the power of a nuclear explosion, and can only exert a small-scale attack effect. These starship lords, seeing the energy ejection, dodged one after another. Those energy bombs were very fast, hitting a starship in an instant, destroying that starship. One starship was destroyed, and the remaining starships retreated immediately, wanting to leave the Hyperion and stop fighting the Hyperion. However, those starship lords didn't think about leaving at all, and all frantically launched attacks towards the Hyperion. One after another starships launched energy beams to attack the Hyperion. There were bursts of violent roars on the Hyperion. The entire Hyperion was filled with smoke, as if it was about to burn. Those starship lords were also affected one after another. This level of bombing, even their spaceships, would create some cracks, or even collapse directly, but they didn't care about those spaceships, and they were still madly attacking the Hyperion one by one. Kill me, Su Yan snorted coldly, and he ordered the main guns of tens of thousands of spaceships on the Hyperion to launch an attack. Immediately, streams of energy rushed out from those starships and shot towards those starships. The starships were directly destroyed by the energy cannons of the tens of thousands of starships and turned into pieces. One by one starship lords were killed by Su Yan's starship. Their war fortress was also completely destroyed under the attack of energy cannons. Seeing this scene, the starship lords were all stunned. They didn't know what to do, and their faces were full of fear. At this time, they realized that they seemed to have provoked a terrible thing, and it was a troublesome thing that could not be dealt with. These starship lords, under Su Yan's order, all began to regret it. Damn bastard. What do we do now? Should we continue to attack, or run away? These starship lords were lost in thought, not knowing what to do. All the starship lords present were silent. Su Yan stood above the starship lords, looking down at them. What, are you all scared? Su Yan asked indifferently, and glanced at the starship lords, with a playful look on his face. HMPH, who is afraid? How could we be afraid? A starship lord said coldly, but there was still a tremor in his voice. The other starship lords also agreed, one by one. Although they were a little scared in their hearts, they were unwilling to give in. Under the watchful eyes of so many starship lords, Su Yan smiled slightly and said, since you are not afraid, then let's continue to fight. You continue to attack us? No, absolutely not. Hearing the words, the starship lord immediately refused. They have all been frightened by Su Yan's starship. If they continue to attack, why not? We are all shocked by your spaceship now. How dare we attack? Do you have anything else? If there is nothing, just get out. We don't want to continue fighting with you. We lost, and we're going to evacuate now. These starship lords all expressed their retreat one after another, preparing to evacuate. But Su Yan didn't let them go, and said lightly, aren't you very arrogant just now? Why are you cowardly now? Are you afraid to fight? Ha ha ha. It's so funny. Since you dare not fight with me, then you continue to wait here. Once the energy on our side is exhausted, it will be your turn, Su Yan said with a smile. Hearing this, the lords of these starship spaceships all had extremely ugly faces, and they wanted to find a crack in the ground to get in. You, don't deceive people too much. One of the starship lords roared angrily. Su Yan smiled and said, yes, I just bullied you. So what can you do? Let me tell you, today, you must stay. There's no way we'll stay. A starship lord roared. Since you want to die so much, then I will fulfill you, Su Yan said lightly, with an indifferent smile on his face. Attack! The Hyperion immediately turned its muzzle and fired an energy cannon towards those spaceships. The energy cannon directly bombarded the shell of a spaceship, tearing the shell of that spaceship apart. The starship lord in that starship was also wounded by the energy cannon. Blood spurted wildly, and his body kept shaking. We surrender! We surrender! The lord of the starship spaceship shouted, wanting to surrender. Su Yan sneered and said, if you want to surrender now, it's too late. As Su Yan said, he controlled the Hyperion and continued to attack. Time and time again, starships one after another were bombed by the Hyperion to slag. The artillery fire on the Hyperion became more violent and more ferocious each time. No matter what level of spaceship it is, it can't stop the Hyperion's artillery attack. Under the attack of the Hyperion, the starship lords fell one after another, and then turned into clusters of interstellar dust. And the artillery fire of the Hyperion is still being released crazily. Boom. Under the attack of the Hyperion's artillery fire, those starship lords turned into dust one after another, and each starship was wiped out in an instant. Looking at the scene in front of him, Suyen was also a little stunned. This result, he really did not expect. These starship lords were so weak that they were killed without even a little resistance in front of his starship. Such a powerful power, if used to attack other planets, may easily destroy those planets, Suyen secretly thought. However, the number of these starship lords is still too small. It would be great if they could all be captured. Suyen's eyes sparkled with light. In Suyen's mind, an idea suddenly appeared. This idea is very amazing. If it is really successful, it will become a huge wealth, and even change the pattern in the future, asking for flowers. This idea is very good, and if it can be realized, it will be a good thing for the entire universe. A smile appeared on the corner of Suyen's mouth. In Suyen's mind, a picture suddenly appeared. Their fleets are rampant in those universes, and the civilized countries in those universes can only be slaughtered by them. Our current strength is simply not enough to conquer those civilized countries, but we can first plunder all their technology, so that they have no source of technology, so that we can gain an advantage. If I can turn these civilized countries in the universe into colonies, I can also have even greater resources. Yes, what is needed now is large-scale colonization. Let the fleet build colonies on those planets, and then make those planets colonies. In this way, we can quickly expand our military power. The stronger the military power, the more resources we can master. I want to upgrade the weapons of war as soon as possible, otherwise, sooner or later, I will be surpassed by other star civilizations. I believe that for a long time to come, I will be invincible. Yes, I will succeed. I am invincible. Suyen kept hypnotizing himself, wanting to put that idea into practice. The Hyperion continued to bomb, destroying starships one after another. Keep going, Suyen shouted loudly, and the Hyperion's gunfire blasted towards a galaxy ahead again. The galaxy was directly destroyed by a single shot by Suyen, and turned into a mess of ruins. The artillery fire from the Hyperion continued to bombard, and the galaxies were destroyed one by one, turning into clusters of ruins. At this time, the Hyperion's artillery fire continued to bombard another galaxy. The energy cannon of the Hyperion. Each shell contains extremely terrifying energy. Every cannonball has the power to destroy everything. Even a small galaxy will collapse in an instant. This kind of power is simply appalling. Under the artillery attack from the Hyperion, the Lord of the Star Field felt his heart tremble. It's terrible. The power of the Hyperion is not inferior to our star warships. I don't know what level their fighting power has reached. We simply don't have the strength to resist. No, we have to find a way to escape. A group of Starfield lords, under the Hyperion's artillery fire, were terrified and wanted to escape. How can they escape the artillery fire of the Hyperion? The artillery fire from the Hyperion continued to bombard, and these Starfield lords were destroyed screamingly. Suyen was not in a hurry to chase after these Starfield lords, but instead manipulated the Hyperion to continue to charge forward. The Hyperion's gunfire kept bombarding, constantly bombarding the interstellar spaceships of those Starfield lords. The energy shield on the Hyperion has turned golden yellow. The energy shield on the Hyperion can be said to be the hardest shield. Not only can defend against the attacks of the Starfield lords, but can even, 467, defend against the attacks of the general galaxy lords. However, after all, the Hyperion is only 10 million kilometers in size. If the energy shield is not used, the Hyperion simply cannot withstand so many attacks. Therefore, it is also necessary to use energy shields. Energy shield. Suyen let out a low cry, and waves of energy poured into the shield of the Hyperion. Boom. A strong airflow erupted from the Hyperion, shaking away all the Starfield lords who were attacking the Hyperion. The Hyperion, all the way forward, destroyed the spaceships of those Starfield lords. Under the attack of the Hyperion, these Starfield lords are simply hard to resist. Under the attack of the Hyperion, one starship after another was destroyed and turned into ruins. The artillery fire from the Hyperion was constantly attacking the interstellar spaceships of those star domain lords. One starship after another was destroyed and turned into ruins. In just half a month, 128 galaxies have been destroyed by those Starfield lords. It's so cool. These star domain lords are really rubbish. Suyen looked at the scene in front of him and was very satisfied. These Starfield lords are really rubbish. At this time, the Hyperion finally arrived in that galaxy. Suyen brought the Hyperion closer to that galaxy, and started building a colony there. The Hyperion begins bombing the system. Boom. The artillery fire from the Hyperion fell, and immediately shattered a large piece of that galaxy, forming a huge meteorite belt. The Hyperion establishes a colony there. At this time, The rest of the Galaxy Lords rushed towards Su Chi. They knew how powerful the Hyperion was, and if they didn't escape, they would probably die under the artillery fire of the Hyperion. They rushed over here one after another. They have to join forces to deal with the Hyperion, and only by joining forces can they win. These Starfield Lords are really not afraid of death, and even dare to come here to die. Suyin looked at those Starfield Lords and sneered. The Hyperion's muzzle turned, once again aimed at these Starfield Lords, and then began to attack. The energy shield on the Hyperion unfolded again, continuously attacking the spaceships of those Starfield Lords. Although the artillery fire of the Hyperion is powerful, their defense is still very low. After all, their size is small, and their defense is not high enough. The spaceships of these Star Domain Lords could barely withstand the artillery fire from the Hyperion. It is unable to withstand the energy shield of the Hyperion. Under the artillery fire of the Hyperion, their spaceships were destroyed one after another and turned into waste. The Hyperion continued on, destroying many starships of the Lords of the Galaxy along the way. These Galaxy Lords are all nearby Galaxy Lords. In front of the Hyperion, their spaceships are not even ants. A day later, the Hyperion arrived next to a huge star. There is a layer of thin film on the surface of the star. This thin film is the star energy shield, and it is also the defensive shield of the star energy shield. As long as the stellar energy shield is destroyed, the star becomes fragile and easily destroyed. The Hyperion's gunfire bombarded it for a while, and the star's energy shield was also bombarded with many cracks. Once the Hyperion's gunfire hit it, the star would explode. Fortunately, the Hyperion did not cause too much damage to the star, and the energy shield of the star is still strong. Hyperion, continue to attack this stellar energy shield. Yes. The Hyperion's artillery fire once again bombarded towards the energy shield of the star. Some cracks gradually began to appear in the stellar energy shield. Not long after, the energy of the star energy shield was finally consumed. The stellar energy shield completely lost control of the Hyperion's gunfire, and fell down again, bombarding the stellar energy shield. The stellar energy shield was shattered again, turning into nothingness. Once the energy shield of the star was broken, the Hyperion continued to move forward, hitting a huge planet. The Hyperion's speed was very fast, leaving a long wake in the air. The body of the Hyperion slammed into the planet, and the entire planet was smashed into pieces by the Hyperion. Call out. The Hyperion continued to move forward, and another Star Domain Lord was swallowed by it. The Hyperion continued to move forward, constantly destroying the starships of these Star Domain Lords. There are too many starships of these Starfield Lords. The Hyperion's artillery fire continued to bombard it. The interstellar spaceships of these Starfield Lords are also continuously added to the spaceships of these Starfield Lords. The number of spaceships of these Starfield Lords is increasing. The Hyperion's attack power is getting stronger and stronger. However, the number of spaceships of these Star Lords 4.3 is also increasing. A Hyperion attack can only destroy one planet. One attack can only bombard 2 or 3 planets. With so many Starfield Lords, the Hyperion's artillery fire continued until night, and still did not stop attacking. However, with so many Starfield Lords gathered together, it was quite difficult for the Hyperion's artillery bombardment. After all, so many Starfield Lords gathered together was not a small burden. The Hyperion's attack is also limited. After all, these Starfield Lords all have their own space jumpers, and it is very difficult to break through their jumpers. With so many Star Domain Lords gathered together, the Hyperion can only attack one planet. These Star Domain Lords are running away frantically. The planets were caught up by the Hyperion, and then they were attacked by the Hyperion's artillery fire, and smashed to pieces. However, the energy shield of the Hyperion consumed too much energy, so the power of the Hyperion's gunfire also weakened a lot. Still, that's enough. The Hyperion continued to rush forward, continuing to harvest the lives of these Starfield Lords. The planets were smashed to pieces, so many Starfield Lords lost nearly 1/5 of their lives in an instant. Damn it, you wait for me. I will seek revenge on you. Please remember, this time we will not forgive you easily. Just wait, when we return to the galaxy, you will encounter disaster. These Starfield Lords are all roaring, and they all understand that this time they are completely planted in the hands of this human being. This human being is really terrifying, and it is simply not something they can resist. I wait for you to come back for revenge. I don't know if you guys can last until then. Su Yan sneered, feeling very happy. This battle made Su Yan more familiar with Xing. 23. In Xing, you can use the maximum power of the Hyperion. On the outside, however, it is impossible to display the most powerful strength of the Hyperion. If it is outside, the Hyperion can even destroy hundreds of planets. This battle made the Hyperion more familiar with this universe. This time, the progress speed of the Hyperion is really too fast. These Starfield Lords are simply not comparable to the Hyperion. The Hyperion's attack power is really too strong. When outside, the Hyperion's artillery fire can only pose a threat to the interstellar spaceships of some Starfield Lords in the starry sky. On this planet, the artillery fire of the Hyperion can destroy it wantonly. The artillery fire of the Hyperion exists specifically to target the interstellar spaceship of the Starfield Lord. This level of attack can be easily destroyed even by an interstellar spaceship. The Hyperion constantly bombarded these star domain lords, constantly harvesting the lives of these star domain lords, causing them heavy losses. Damn it, I must make you look good. Humans, you wait. These star domain lords were crazily cursing and staring at the Hyperion angrily. The artillery fire of the Hyperion continued to move forward, destroying all the starships of these star domain lords. One after another, the planets were constantly being smashed into pieces, which made the complexions of these Starfield Lords even paler. I will never let you go. We will seek revenge on you. One by one, the Starfield Lords shouted angrily, revenge. If you find me, I'm afraid I'll kill you long ago. Right, let's go. At this time, these Starfield Lords did not dare to stay here, and they all fled away one after another. Although the attack power of the Hyperion is powerful, the number of interstellar spaceships of these Starfield Lords is really too much. No matter how powerful the artillery fire of the Hyperion is, it will take a long time for the Hyperion to destroy these Starfield Lords. The fleeing speed of these Starfield Lords is also very fast. It is not possible for the Hyperion to catch up with them in a short time. The Hyperion has its own unique way of tracking those Starfield Lords. It is really not that simple for these Starfield Lords to avoid the Hyperion. The speed of the Hyperion's voyage in this universe is not slow, and their speeds have all reached the level of the speed of light. Among these Starfield Lords, only a very small number of Galaxy Lords can pilot interstellar spaceships. The rest of the Starfield Lords are all ordinary cosmic civilizations. If they want to escape in an interstellar spacecraft, they really have no choice but to escape by escaping. These interstellar lords once used interstellar spaceships to escape, then their life magnetic field will be affected to a certain extent. The magnetic fields of these beings are affected, and the speed of their interstellar navigation will be limited to a certain extent. This effect cannot be eliminated casually. The artillery fire from the Hyperion continued to bombard the spaceships of these interstellar lords, causing a lot of damage to the interstellar spaceships of these interstellar lords. However, these interstellar lords have a large number of interstellar spacecraft. After losing these interstellar spacecraft, they can quickly summon a batch of interstellar spacecraft. In this way, the starship they lost can still be made up for. These interstellar lords all had an ominous premonition that they might die in the hands of this human being. It's just too scary. The spaceships of these interstellar lords are about to escape from the galaxy and return to their respective planets. However, suddenly, they found that all their interstellar spaceships seemed to be bound by something, and they could no longer move forward. These interstellar spaceships all stopped in the void. Not good. These Star Lords were all shocked. Damn, how did we discover our starship again? We can't let them continue to hunt down. We must return to our respective planets as soon as possible. Otherwise we will die. Withdraw. These Starfield Lords all changed their routes one after another, and rushed to D40 to their respective planets. None of these Star Domain Lords wanted to fight the Hyperion anymore. They just wanted to escape from this dangerous area. Haha, finally escaped. Damn, I'm going to kill you guys. All the Starfield Lords roared crazily, their hearts filled with anger. The Hyperion continued to chase and kill them, which made these Starfield Lords very aggrieved. They have never felt that they have been bullied like this. They didn't know why this happened, but all of this was due to the human being in front of them. These Starfield Lords, no matter which Starfield Lord they are, have their own dignity. They are unwilling to bow their heads to humans, and even less willing to surrender to humans. In this way, they had no choice but to run for their lives desperately. However, no matter how fast their speed is, the speed of the Hyperion is much faster than theirs, and the artillery fire of the Hyperion is also very intensive. Boom! One by one planets exploded directly, and turned into ashes. Under the artillery fire from the Hyperion, all the Star Domain Lords were blown into blood mist. Under the attack of the Hyperion, their spaceships were blasted into powder one after another. Rumble! The interstellar spaceships of these interstellar lords were destroyed under the attack of the Hyperion. The Hyperion continued to chase and kill, flying in the starry sky. Boom! The interstellar spaceships of these Star Domain Lords were blown up, and groups of huge planetary debris exploded in mid-air. The Hyperion continued to pursue, blowing up the spaceships of these interstellar lords one by one. This time, Nearly 3/8 of their starship has been lost. This damage is still increasing. These losses are a bottomless pit, and the Hyperion simply can't fill them up, and the losses will continue to increase. These starfield lords were all pale with fright, and they all had a feeling of despair. These interstellar lords all felt a fatal crisis. At this moment, they didn't care about their dignity. They just wanted to leave this area as soon as possible, and leave this terrible human being. In front of this human being, they have no power to resist at all. They can only run for their lives. Run away. If you don't run away, you will definitely die. These interstellar lords fled one after another, no matter when it was. The most important thing was to save their own lives. These interstellar lords all want to survive, and they all hope that they will be lucky enough to encounter an interstellar spaceship so that they can avoid catastrophe, so as not to be chased and killed by this human being. At this moment, these interstellar lords found sadly that they encountered an interstellar spaceship call out. This interstellar spacecraft flew over in an instant and blocked their way. This interstellar spacecraft was exactly Lin Feng's interstellar spacecraft. My God, am I going to die at the hands of this human being? This interstellar spaceship is Lin Feng's interstellar spaceship. Just now, this interstellar spaceship was patrolling in the void, and happened to encounter this group of interstellar lords. The crew on this interstellar spaceship immediately recognized the spaceships of these interstellar lords, because the costumes worn by these interstellar lords are exactly the same as the flag of this spaceship, but the colors are slightly different. In the entire universe, there are only two colors, one is black and white, and the other is blue. This color is the color that represents the Starfield Lord, representing their level. The black and white colors represent the status of the Starfield Lords in this universe. The forces in this universe represent their identities. The flag on this interstellar spaceship represents the identities of these interstellar lords in this universe. The flags on these interstellar lords are the status symbols of the interstellar lords, and they are also the status symbols of the highest-ranking figures in this universe. The flag of this interstellar spacecraft represents the authority of the interstellar spacecraft, and even the owner of this interstellar spacecraft, in this universe. Damn it! This interstellar spacecraft dared to intercept our interstellar spacecraft. I really don't want to live. These interstellar lords, after seeing this interstellar spaceship, immediately cursed loudly. On this interstellar spaceship, there are many soldiers patrolling. They held some weapons in their hands, and looked on guard. The equipment of these soldiers is much more powerful than the equipment of the soldiers on the interstellar spaceship of the interstellar lord. This is because, in the interstellar spacecraft, there are also grades. The higher the grade of the interstellar spacecraft, the stronger the soldiers on it. The interstellar spaceships of those interstellar lords are ordinary interstellar spaceships, and the soldiers on them are all at the level of interstellar domain lords, and there are even figures at the level of planetary lords. The soldiers on these starships are naturally much more powerful. On top of these interstellar spaceships, there are also Starfield Lord level warships. In other words, this interstellar spacecraft is a powerful interstellar spacecraft, a product of a super civilization. Who is the owner of this interstellar spaceship? He actually owns a warship of the level of a star domain lord, and even has a super interstellar spaceship. Who is this human being? We don't seem to know this human being, no matter who he is, since he dares to intercept us. He is looking for death. His starship must be the Star-Lord's starship, otherwise, how could a starship have such strong energy? HMPH. So what about the starships of the Star-Lords? Could it be that they can withstand so many Star-Lords like us? This Star-Lord is not easy. I think it's better not to provoke him. Good. Now we should get out of here first. These interstellar lords are all discussing. Although they were greedy for this interstellar spaceship, they still chose to escape at the critical moment of life and death. If they don't escape, it is estimated that these interstellar lords will fall here. These interstellar lords use their energy one after another to let their interstellar spaceships escape quickly. Seeing this scene, Su Yan couldn't help being stunned. What's going on? Why do these Star Lords want to run away? Our goal hasn't been achieved yet, so why do they want to run away? I don't know. No matter why they escape, let's follow up and see if they really want to escape. We will catch up and sink them, Lin Feng said lightly. These interstellar lords used their own interstellar spaceships to quickly flee towards the distance, and soon they left the original galaxy and entered another starry sky. Damn it! We have actually entered another star field. These interstellar lords all looked horrified. Their interstellar spaceships were rampaging among the interstellar space, destroying them along the way. Soon, Li Nuahao flew away from the previous star field and entered another star field. The area of this star field is about the same as this star field. The interstellar lord in this star field is much stronger than the interstellar lord in the previous star field. This star field is a star field that only star field lords of the star lord level can live in. The interstellar lords in this star field will be stronger. In this star field, the number of interstellar lords is hundreds of times that of ordinary interstellar lords. Therefore, the strength of the interstellar lords can be called the existence of the overlord level of the starry sky. Lin Feng and others were driving in this star field, and the muzzles on their interstellar spacecraft were aimed at these interstellar lords. In the distance, bang bang bang. Lin Feng and others, while firing, chased after these interstellar lords. Damn it, these guys are really despicable and shameless. They sneaked up on us, not only snatching our spaceship, but also attacking us. It is really despicable and shameless. No matter what, we all have to escape. It was so despicable that we would have escaped long ago if it hadn't been for his surprise attack. These interstellar lords were extremely angry. In the eyes of this interstellar lord, raging anger burst out. These spaceships of the Star Lords are garbage, their prey. Now these Star Lords are attacked by Lin Feng and others. How can they not be angry? Regardless of their own injuries, they directly urged their starship to speed up and escape. They don't want to be killed here by these interstellar lords. There are too many Star Lords in this star field. If they die here, no matter how awesome they are, it will be in vain. They still try to find a way to escape, waiting for revenge next time. These interstellar lords, on the interstellar spacecraft, frantically urged the spacecraft to fly forward. Their spacecraft is also sailing in the interstellar at an extremely fast speed. Rumble. At this time, these interstellar spacecraft were suddenly attacked, and the energy shield of a huge interstellar spacecraft was instantly shattered. Immediately afterwards, the interstellar spacecraft was also severely damaged, losing power in an instant and turning into a pile of scrap iron. The power cabins of these interstellar spaceships all exploded, turning into powder and dissipating in the void of the universe. This interstellar spaceship was completely destroyed. Seeing this scene, these interstellar lords let out miserable cries. Their starship was actually destroyed. Their interstellar spacecraft will also be completely destroyed in a short period of time. This is the treasure they have worked so hard to build, and it is what they depend on for survival. If their spaceship is destroyed, they will not have any flying ability. Damn it, which bastard actually dared to destroy our interstellar spaceship? An interstellar lord roared angrily. It's those bastards, another star lord said through gritted teeth. Those bastard human races are so daring, they dared to sneak attack us. Our spaceship will definitely not let them go. These interstellar lords are all full of anger. Su Yan controlled the Hyperion, passed by, heard the words of these interstellar lords, and immediately laughed. Heath, you guys underestimate me too. I don't need a sneak attack at all. It can easily destroy you spaceship. As for your rubbish, we don't bother to waste time to pay attention to it. You just stay here obediently, and wait to be slaughtered by us. Damn it, when we catch you, I will cut you to pieces and let you know what fear is. Yes, just wait to bear our wrath. These star lords roared viciously one by one, but in their hearts, they are also full of fear for this Hyperion. At this moment, 2 more spaceships were destroyed by this Hyperion. These 2 spaceships are also Star-Lord level spaceships, and they were also attacked by Lin Feng and others. Boom! The interstellar spaceships of these interstellar lords were blown up by Lin Feng and others, and fragments of the spaceships were scattered everywhere. These interstellar lords are also extremely sad. They did not expect that these interstellar spaceships would not be able to withstand the attacks of these interstellar lords. At this time, they finally understood how powerful this Hyperion was. The degree of threat of this Hyperion has reached a height beyond the imagination of their interstellar lords. It is impossible for their CDBH interstellar spacecraft to withstand this Hyperion. Haha, this Hyperion is really too powerful. We are no match for this Hyperion. It is simply invincible. An interstellar lord looked at the destroyed interstellar spaceship and couldn't help making a sound of emotion. This Hyperion is really powerful. This is not surprising. After all, the Hyperion is a war fortress. Moreover, This war fortress has many other secret weapons. If this war fortress is used well, it can exert its strongest power. These interstellar lords are all talking about this Hyperion, and they are all admiring the power of this Hyperion. Hyperion, is that what we're aiming for? We've finally found a starship, and it's a large one, which is awesome. At this moment, Suyan looked at a huge planet in the distance, and couldn't help but excitedly said, "The interstellar mothership in this place seems to be much larger than the few interstellar motherships we saw before." Lin Feng squinted his eyes, and looked at the distant planet. It was a huge planet. The surface of the planet was covered with a lot of magma, and the magma contained strong flames. The temperature inside these magmas is extremely high, and ordinary people who approach this planet will be scorched or even wiped out. However, although this kind of magma is powerful, it is not dangerous at all to the interstellar lord. These interstellar lords are not afraid to approach this planet. Some people even want to get close to the core area of this planet, swallow this planet, and then obtain all the resources of this planet. But in this way, the interstellar spacecraft on this planet will immediately sense the danger, and they will definitely retreat quickly when the time comes. Therefore, no one wants to get close to this planet at all. The interstellar spacecraft on this planet is also very powerful, even more powerful than the interstellar spacecraft that Lin Feng and the others encountered. Such an interstellar spacecraft can easily destroy their interstellar spacecraft. Is this the core of the planet? Suyan also noticed this planet. Her face was shocked, because this planet is really too huge, and it is a super huge planet. Such a planet is simply unimaginable. Even if Lin Feng and others enter the core area of this planet, they will be bombarded and killed by countless shells, countless combat machines, spaceship turrets, spaceship warships, etc. on this planet. This place is a place that must not be offended, and no one dares to approach this place.
Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.